Feeling tired of spending more money than you have and buying things in a hurry? Even if you've been trying to be more careful with your money for a while, you might still be urged to spend a lot on fancy gadgets or other things you don't need. But here's the thing, do you really need all that stuff? Probably not. What if we told you that you could change this? What if we said there are some really good ways to stop yourself from spending on things you don't need?
Adults devise a plan and follow it. Children do what feels good. Everybody's all worried about everybody's feelings these days. I'm not worried about your feelings. I'll make a living hurting your feelings. I don't give a crap about your feelings.
Sounds good, right? Today, we'll learn simple steps to improve your life by becoming a smart spender, just like Dave Ramsey. Creating a budget. Close your eyes. Imagine what you spend on your monthly income, and you'd be shocked to realize a lot of expenses were made on never-ending wants. But you're not alone. In today's world, so many people watch their hard-earned money slip away on things that don't improve their lives. While this may sound frustrating, it is one of the major reasons why it is impossible to live frugally. We know it's a bit of a cliche to say planning your expenditures is the first step in changing your money life, but still, we mean it. Creating a budget is a straightforward yet immensely successful strategy for having that 180-degree turnaround.
Can you sit down and do your dadgum budget, maybe for the first time in your life, put your income for the month at the top of the page, and then give every dollar an assignment? I will promise you two things will happen. Number one thing will happen is that you will feel like you got a raise, because you will go, where is all this freaking money going? It's going to blow your mind how much you waste.
Creating a budget is like putting on glasses that help you see your money clearly. It shows you exactly how much money comes in and where it goes. This helps you spot areas where you can spend less. Let's do a practical example. Think about two people, Alex and Dan, both making $2,000 a month. But here's the difference. Alex doesn't bother with a budget. Without a plan for his money, he spends way too much on things he could easily skip. He's partying, buying the latest gadgets, and shopping for clothes without keeping track of his cash. And boom, most of his money is gone. But let's talk about Dan. He understands how powerful a budget can be and takes control of his money. He sets specific amounts for important things like rent, groceries, transportation, and also leaves some for spending on fun stuff. Let's say he decides to spend $800 on rent and utilities, $200 on groceries, $200 on transportation, and $400 for fun. That leaves him with $400 to save. Here's where things get interesting. Dan checks his budget when he really wants something, like a shiny PlayStation 5 and games that cost $500. If it means spending more than he set aside for fun, he knows he can't get it this month. In simple words, his budget keeps him in control and helps him make smart choices with his money. Budgeting instills discipline in your financial life. It encourages you to think twice before making impulsive purchases. Like Dan, when you realize buying something expensive eats into your income, you can either abort it or opt for a more budget-friendly alternative. So, if you're eager to break free from lavish spending and live frugally, start by creating a budget. It's a practical and powerful tool that places you in charge of your finances, enabling you to make wise choices with your hard-earned money. And there isn't a better time to start than now.
You don't have to wait until everything stabilizes to start doing a budget. As a matter of fact, the only way it will stabilize is to do a budget this month, and then do a budget next month, and then do a budget next month.
Automate your savings. Now, once you've figured out how much money you can use, the next step is to make your savings automatic. This is important because it can help you change how you spend money and move towards handling it more carefully.
Right.
Where you spend your money says what's important to you.
That's right.
Thank God it's Friday. I'm going to hit the bars. We know what's important to you. You know, I'm going to save for the future. We know what's important to you. I'm going to save for my kids. We know what's important to you. I'm going to save so much, I'm going to change my family tree, my kids and my grandkids. Now we know what's important to you.
Automating your savings means that every time you get paid, a part of that money goes straight into your savings or investment accounts without you having to do anything. It's super easy, and you don't even have to remember to do it because it happens automatically. Plus, automating your savings helps you spend money wisely. By keeping your savings separate from your spending money, you naturally start to spend only what you have left after saving. And here's the cool part, your savings grow over time. Whether you're saving for emergencies, buying a house, or getting ready for retirement, those regular contributions add up as the years go by. In simple terms, automating your savings is like having a helpful friend who quietly makes sure you're saving money regularly. It works well with your budgeting and ensures your money goes where you want it, while also stopping you from spending too much. Cutting down on unnecessary costs. Nevertheless, what if we told you automating your savings wouldn't be possible without the crucial step that paves the way for spending smartly, cutting down on unnecessary costs?
Driving around in cars you can't afford with car payments to impress people at a stoplight you'll never meet. A lot of you spend a lot of money to impress people you will never meet with your car, and then scratching your head and wondering why your kid's college fund isn't funded. Well, you're driving it. You're driving the college fund. That's why.
Why bother making a budget or saving money if you're just going to waste it on unnecessary stuff? To spend less, you need to closely examine how you spend your money. You have to find those things you keep buying that don't really make your life better, and then cut back or stop buying them. Here's what that means. You might have to cancel subscriptions you don't use, buy stuff that doesn't have a fancy brand name, or cook at home instead of always eating out. In our busy lives, it's easy to forget those small but frequent expenses that slowly take our money. Think about the cash you spend daily on things like coffee, subscriptions, shopping too much, eating out, or gym memberships you hardly use. Finding and reducing these costs is super important if you want to be more careful with your money. When you make choices to spend less on them, you'll have more money left for saving or other important things. It's like fixing the holes in your money bucket, so your hard-earned cash goes where it really matters. This way, you can keep your savings safe and stick to your budget. Don't think that cutting costs means you won't live comfortably. It's actually a smarter way to live, because it helps you spend your money on things that really matter to you and your long-term money goals. Creating financial goals. Speaking of financial goals, it is another act that should be considered. Why? Because they serve as your guiding star. They give you a reason to be frugal, a purpose that goes beyond just saving for the sake of it.
If you're not careful, you make short-term decisions which keep you in a short-term situation. If you make long-term decisions, they're almost always painful now and awesome later. I want to ask myself, 10 years from today, where do I want to be, and which of these decisions take me there?
When you have well-defined financial goals, especially for the long term, every dollar you save and every financial decision you make becomes steps towards achieving those objectives. Perhaps you're saving for a down payment on a house, planning for your children's education, building an emergency fund, or aiming for a comfortable retirement. These goals can vary widely depending on your personal needs and priorities. But regardless of the specifics, having concrete goals provides you with motivation and direction. The amazing thing is that making financial goals isn't just about stating what you want to achieve. It's also about the steps to reach your destination. It is like a roadmap for making frugal decisions. Think about it for a second. Wouldn't you say you're more likely to resist the urge to spend lavishly when you have a compelling reason to save? Your goals will ensure that you're constantly reminded of what you're striving for. Take your time to define your financial goals. Write them down, break them into bits, and use them as your motivation to stay on course. Combining this with the prior points would make you sharper than ever. What could go wrong? Creating a pros and cons list.
You have to live on less than you make, and you have to have a plan, and you have to be intentional. It hasn't got anything to do with the income. It's got to do with you freaking controlling the person in your mirror.
Next, let's discuss a valuable decision-making tool that can greatly help you. Creating a list of pros and cons. Should I get a new laptop? Should I get that shiny premium subscription? Financial dilemmas happen every day, and it's not always easy to determine whether it aligns with your goal of spending wisely. But guys, that's where a pros and cons list comes into play. Whenever you're contemplating a financial decision, take a moment to note the pros and cons. What benefits will this decision bring? What drawbacks or challenges might you encounter? Analyzing these factors provides remarkable clarity. While the obvious con is a loss of money, there are many more. In the case of getting a second car, would it require a lot of maintenance in the long run? Or would it retain a lot of value after a while? Creating a pros and cons list forces you to pause and think critically about your choices. It encourages you to evaluate the potential consequences of your actions, both positive and negative. Creating a list often leads to shocking discoveries. You would be amazed by how much the cons outweigh the pros. Taking it into perspective helps you from making decisions that you may regret later. Additionally, you can use it to choose between two difficult decisions. Take the new iPhone 15 series as a case study. Let's say you've been meaning to change your aging device, and you've saved enough for a new one. By making a list, you can discover which lineups suit your needs, instead of wasting money mindlessly picking the best among them with the highest storage. That wouldn't be smart, would it? Buying used items. Here's another smart money tip. Buy stuff that's been used before. Before you go ooh, let's clear up a common idea that used things are bad. They're not. Think about it. If you need a new piece of furniture, some home appliances, a laptop, or whatever, you might want to rush to the store for a brand new one, right? Well, that's not always the best idea. First, used things are cheaper than the new ones. Choosing used stuff can save you a lot of money and still give you good quality. You can find used things that work great and last a long time without spending too much. Plus, it helps you learn how to be smart about what you buy, tell if something is good, and even haggle for a better price. Here's a cool bonus. When you buy used, you're kind to the planet because it helps to reduce the carbon footprint. Who knew frugal spending makes the earth better? So don't feel bad about buying used things. It's a smart and earth-friendly way to make your money go further while being mindful about what you buy. Wait it out. Have you ever had to make a financial decision on the spot instead of sleeping on it? What was the outcome? And didn't you feel you'd have made a better decision if only you had more time? It is pretty amazing how waiting a little bit before buying something can greatly affect how we spend our money. You might be surprised by how often you realize you don't really need something, or it could have been a big mistake if you had bought it immediately. When you're thinking about buying something that costs a lot and could affect your money situation, it's smart to take some time to cool off. This could be a week, 2 weeks, or maybe a whole month. During that time, give yourself a chance to consider whether you can comfortably afford it without stressing out your budget. Look at reviews and do some research to make sure you know what you're getting into. But most importantly, let time help you figure out if you truly still want that thing or if it was just a passing fancy. This not only helps you make clear choices about your spending instead of going wild with your money, but it also stops you from making snap decisions you might regret later. Waiting gives you a chance to think things through. It also teaches you how to be responsible with your money. It reminds you that thinking carefully and planning is important when making a big purchase. So, next time you're considering buying something big, we suggest sleeping on it for a few nights, or maybe a whole month, just to ensure it's the right choice. You might end up saving yourself a lot of money. Seriously. Get a hobby. If waiting around makes you bored, how about picking up a hobby? We get it. Some hobbies need money to start. But guess what? Some hobbies can even make you money. If you like dogs and enjoy taking them for walks, you can get paid for that. Okay, here's the deal. When bored, we tend to make not-so-smart choices with our money. Think about it. Have you ever been a bit bored and end up just window shopping or going out to eat? Having a hobby, or at least something you really like doing, can change the game. It's not just about having fun. It's also about a way to stop spending money on stuff you don't need. For example, imagine you love painting or watching football games. When you're really into making art or cheering on your favorite teams, you're less likely to go online shopping or head to the mall just to kill time. You're focused and happy, so you don't feel the need to buy things. And guess what? Some hobbies don't cost a dime, like hiking. It's almost free. And exploring new trails in nature is super fun, and it's a cheap way to spend your free time. In summary, hobbies make you happy without needing to use your credit card. And they keep you busy and content so you don't spend money randomly. Think about what makes you happy and go do it. It's not just fun, it's a smart way to stick to your money goals.